Hi guys, I am here with our Bible study for tonight. My aunt was out here today, so I have two Woman's World books. So I got some Circles of Kindness for us. So I will be reading one of them today. I haven't got it set up yet, I apologize. Luckily it don't take long to find it because I know exactly where they are. They're always in the back of the book. Okay, so let's see what book we are in today. All right, we are in the book of Matthew. Matthew 17 verse 20 is the verse that goes along with the devotion tonight, which is by Sharon Hennick. And it says, "He replied, 'Because you have so little faith. Truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you.'" Okay, so let's put that aside for now. And I'll read to you guys Matthew 17. The transfiguration, the healing of a boy with a demon, and the temple tax. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, is it good for us to be here?" They were terrified, the disciples. "If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, a bright cloud, this was the Lord, enveloped them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell face down to the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. "Get up," he said. "Don't be afraid." When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus instructed them, "Don't tell anyone what you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." The disciples asked him, "Why then do the teachers of the law say that Elijah must come first?" Jesus replied, "To be sure, Elijah comes and will restore all things. But I tell you, Elijah has already come." He's referring to John the Baptist. "And they did not recognize him, but have done to him everything they wished. In the same way, the Son of Man is going to suffer at their hands." Then the disciples understood that he was talking to them about John the Baptist. Because, Elijah had to come first before Jesus, and John the Baptist came first to prepare the way for the Lord, for Jesus. But you know what they did to John the Baptist? He was imprisoned and then he was beheaded. When they came to the crowd, a man approached Jesus and knelt before him. "Lord, have mercy on my son," he said. "He has seizures and is suffering greatly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him." "Oh, unbelieving and perverse generation," Jesus replied. "How long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me." Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of the boy, and he was healed from that moment. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private and asked, "Why couldn't we drive it out?" He replied, "Because you have so little faith. I tell you the truth, If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Now remember, the mustard seed, the tiniest seed in the world is the mustard seed, but it becomes a beautiful tree, big bush, big tree. Tiniest seed in the world. When they came together in Galilee, he said to them, the Son of Man is going to be betrayed into the hands of men. They will kill him, and on the third day he will be raised to life. And the disciples were filled with grief. After Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma tax came to Peter and asked, doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax? You know, just wanting to run their mouths and start trouble. Yes, he does, he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus was the first to speak. What do you think, Simon? He said. From whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their own sons or from others? From others, Peter answered. Then the sons are exempt, Jesus said to him. But so that we may not offend them, go to the lake and throw out your line. Take the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and you will find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours. And Peter did, and it happened just as Jesus told him it would. Jesus was saying, other people, the kings expect other people to pay the tax, but not their sons. See, God is in charge of the church. He's in charge of the temple. It's God's house. Jesus is God's son, so he shouldn't have to pay. It's what he was, referring to. But you know how the people there were. They always wanted to harass him. And most of them did not believe. Always trying to start trouble with Jesus. Always. Okay, so now I'm going to read the devotion by Sharon Hennick. She says, after a stressful year, my husband and I planned for some time to regroup, pray, and seek Jesus from where to serve next. I envisioned several peaceful months of settling back into a routine. The very next week, a family member was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. As many people before us have discovered, this is a journey that is painful and is paved with appointments, research, and decisions. I know how painful Alzheimer's disease is because I've seen it firsthand. When I was a CNA, when I worked at a nursing home, I was mostly all the time locked into the Alzheimer's unit. I worked in there a lot. They got to keep the doors locked so they don't, go out. And it's really sad, the things I've seen in there. Really sad. I could tell you some things. It's really heartbreaking. Most of all, my heart breaks as I see my loved one slipping away. Her confusion and frustration make me ache. I answer her same question a dozen times in a row, then hang up the phone and cry. It's been physically, mentally, and spiritually exhausting. Today I was pondering the overwhelming obstacles that this diagnosis presents. Then I remembered that Jesus encourages us to pray for mountains to be removed, or to be moved. The mountain of phone calls, paperwork, and doctor's appointments. The mountain of grief and sadness. For some of us, it is a mountain of illness, financial strain, broken relationships, loneliness, addiction, or a lack of direction. Whatever needs we have, Jesus can provide answers. When we remember how much bigger he is than our mountains, they begin to shrink before our eyes. There are 1,000 things that are hard about these mountains, but Jesus is the Lord of millions of blessings. He will outnumber the problems with his overwhelming grace and mercy. Yes, he will. Amen. I'll tell you one quick story from when I worked there. There was this elderly woman. She was really nice. Her name was Lucy, which was very close to me because, my grandma's name was Lucy. And, she was elderly, so all of her kids were already grown up, and her husband was still alive. He came in to see her all the time. And all of her kids were already grown up. That's an important part. But she thought, in her mind, that all of her kids were still little kids, still young children. And she always tried to get out the door. That's why they had to, we had to punch a code in to get in and out. She always trying to get out, and you know why? She would cry, and she wanted to get out because she went to the grocery store, she said. She was here at the grocery store, and her kids were sitting at home waiting for her to get back home. They were there alone, and she was crying, wanting to get back home to her children, who she thought were there waiting on her and still little, but they're all grown. And that is just very heartbreaking. And they actually believe this stuff in their minds. That's actually how they believe and feel. It's horrible. Can you imagine feeling like that way, having that Alzheimer's and thinking that somebody's keeping you there and not letting you out to get to your kids, thinking that they're home alone crying for you and you can't get out to get to them? It's horrible. That was one of the saddest things I remember to this very day, and that's been many years ago. Okay, guys, our next Bible study will be in the book of Psalms, Psalm 118. So now I will go and read to you the Circle of Kindness. The first one is by Allison Wilson Lee from Florida. He went the extra mile to help us out. During a weekend trip out of town, my toddler was excited to stay in a motel. I never noticed that he put a pair of shoes in my dresser drawer until we returned home. My husband called the motel manager to explain the situation, and the gentleman offered to mail our son's shoes to us. He wouldn't accept any money, simply wanting to provide a service. I'm thankful this manager went the extra mile to help us out. All right, and this one is by Gina Milonzo from New York. Her simple gift made our day. I received a package of assorted teas from my cousin Angela as a just because gift. My 91-year-old mom drinks green tea, and the gift reminded me that she had asked me to pick her up a box since she is unable to go to the grocery store. There was a box of peach green tea in the gift box from my cousin, so I decided to bring it for my mom to try. I picked up a box of cookies as well, and a few other groceries, and brought the items to her house. We had a delightful afternoon, and she enjoyed the peach green tea as we reminisced about my childhood. A simple gift of tea turned into a delightful afternoon for me and my mom. Simplest acts of kindness, guys. I told you, it's the simplest things people appreciate the most. You could spend a whole bunch of money on someone getting extravagant things, but it's the simplest things to most people that mean the most. And the last one is by Lynn Patterson from Georgia. They were a blessing to me. On Sunday morning, we discovered that our mailbox had been vandalized and was lying on the ground. My 76-year-old husband isn't physically able to repair things anymore, and I was clueless how to fix it. I posted on Facebook asking if anyone wanted to make a few extra bucks to take care of it. A much younger friend contacted me right away. On Monday, her husband and son showed up with the tools and a bucket to use as concrete I'd purchased. They took care of the problem and refused any payment. My friend explained that they tried to do a kindness every day. Very good idea. We talked about that before, remember? Her sons were Eagle Scouts, and the one who helped said, "It's the Scout way." It's the Lord's way, too. Good boy. How I wish there were more people like them. They certainly were a blessing. They surely were. Surely were. So the simplest little things, guys. Just helping her put up that mailbox. That was so nice. Didn't expect any payment from her. Didn't take a dime. Just did it out of the kindness of their hearts. We should all strive to do one simple act of kindness every day. You don't have to just do it in person. You can do it online or by writing through the mail. You could do anything like that. Just by even giving a nice compliment to somebody. You never know what kind of day they're having, and that compliment just might make them feel a lot better. Might even save their life. They might be suicidal. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Let's bring those souls to Jesus, and I hope you guys have a great night's sleep. Good night, guys.